like your situation and like what you're spending on electricity, and about what you're seeing as like your high bills, your low bills, stuff like that.
So our highest bill so far has been $360 a month. That was with just really two of us in the house, which I think is crazy. And we've asked CMP a few times now. So I guess I'm just gonna stay with what we did this year so far. The lowest one that I've paid back this year, which was just the one that I just paid, which was 222.
Okay.
And that's with three people in the home. So I still think that's a lot of power that supposedly we're using.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How long have you guys been in the place?
So we've been here. This will be our second year. We bought the house 2 years ago on the 18th, but we really physically were only in the house consistently in June of 2022. Yeah, of 2022. So almost two full years, but not quite 2 full years yet.
Gotcha. Were you guys living in Maine before this house, or were you living
Oh
somewhere
yeah,
else?
yeah. Yeah, we lived in Portland. Been in Maine our whole life, most of my life. Jerry's been here all of his life. But we were living in Portland, and the house that we were living in, they were selling it. And it was just a ridiculous amount of money. So we looked for something else, and this is what we were able to find up in Oakland.
Cool. Cool. And at your other house, like the house you were living in before, what were your bills running in that house?
Okay. So the other house was much bigger than this house, and there was four, five, six. There was six of us in that house, and my mother was still alive, and she was on oxygen 24/7 in a CPAP machine, and
Jeez.
maybe paid. We didn't even pay what we're paying up here. That's why I was so shocked with what we paid. We paid high, like $200, but it was like expected because of what was going on in the house.
Hmm.
Um, and here we don't even have that stuff going on, and the house is just, for me, I think it's such a difference in price.
Well, a lot of the prices on those CMP bills, there's two charges, right? So there's like your service charge, which is what they charge
Mhm.
you per kilowatt hour. And then there's also a charge for transmission and distribution, your
Yes.
TDU charges, right? So the delivery of power changes based on where they have to deliver the power from. So
Oh,
if you're in Portland and like the delivery of that power is in a closer proximity from the power plant to your home, your delivery charges are going to be cheaper. Where if you're in another area where it might take a longer distance for that power to travel from the power plant to your home, then your transmission and distribution charges are going to be higher. So that could be part of it. Um, but they also did do some rate hikes recently, and that could be, another part of it as well. Is
yeah.
rates historically rates have only gone up about 5% per year the last 30 years, and in the last 20 years 6% per year, and then just in the last year rates went up 23%.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
that is where a lot of people are seeing their bills shoot up, is because of that most recent rate hike that they've done, and they do them every year. And mainly where they do them is not necessarily where you would think on the service, like the cost per kilowatt hour. A lot of times they do it on the transmission and distribution of the energy. So
Okay.
they increase the cost on what you pay per kilowatt hour, but then they also increase the costs on the delivery and the transmission charges. So
Okay, that makes sense because I'm looking at the delivery fee and they saying they're charging me $108 for that.
yeah, it's like 30 to 40% of your bill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or maybe I could be reading wrong. Delivery fee says 108, but then it says non-CMP supplier standard offer is 114.
So is that bill around $215?
222.80.
Yeah. So it's about half of the bill. That bill.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep. Yep. So That's what
Oh,
people don't understand, because they look at your bill and they just look at what they pay per kilowatt hour. And they're like,
right.
well, this has never gone up. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's fine. That it doesn't matter, because they're making their money on the delivery charges. So like every year, like your infrastructure ages, right? And they need to replace transmission lines, telephone poles, stuff like that, right? Well, every year as they replace these things, someone's got to pay for it, right? And so it comes out of those charges, the transmission and distribution charges. So every year they increase the rates, because aging electrical infrastructure only lasts typically 50 to 80 years. And then these storms come through and knock stuff down, and then they've got to rebuild it. And so that all pays for that
That
within those
makes, yeah,
charges. Yeah.
that makes sense. And so you guys are actual suppliers. So you do what CMP, no, you don't do what CMP does. You would be supplying the energy. Oh,
Kind of kind of like that. We think of the company as more like the utility company. So the company is through Everbright. The program's through Everbright, and Everbright
mhm.
is kind of like the utility company. So the way our program works is we come in, we give you one rate for all the energy that you produce. That's typically less than what you're paying CMP right now. And then that rate we give you, it's protected, meaning every single year they raise rates, your rates don't go up, right?
Okay.
So that's
Mhm.
you're going to save money from day one, and then you're going to save money over time. So that's like in a nutshell what it is. But let me ask you guys this: like, it sounds like you want to save money. Like that's a motivating factor for you for why you're looking into an alternative program. The
Well,
other question I have is, like, you guys have been there 2 years. Do you plan on using more energy for like any reason?
oh, I don't know. That would be a hard. I think locking ourselves into what we got right now. It's hard to say. I don't think we're utilizing. Okay. We're not utilizing everything that we would probably want to do because we're still getting our roots settled, right? We're still figuring, do we want to put a shed in the backyard and have power go to that? Stuff like that. So we still might use a little bit more. I don't think we'd be building onto the house. We're going to be in our 60s pretty quick here. We're getting too old for this crap. Running a snowblower is killing us. But more importantly, you just want to be a little bit more efficient. So if we lose the power, we have a backup. It's not just reliant on CMP getting the power to my house that my solar would work. That's kind of the way my brain works. That off grid is where I always go. I don't know if that's what you guys would consider yourselves, but that's what I look at. Off, how can I survive off grid without shit working? Excuse my French. I swear sometimes. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, off grid would be an awesome solution. I lived off grid for a year. Me and my wife, we built a shipping container home,
Oh
and
my
we
gosh.
it was cool. It was the coolest thing. Oh my,
Oh,
yeah.
I envy people. I wish that stuff was happening when I was younger and I physically could do the work that you need because it's a hard work to live that life. But I just so envious of I watch all those shows. I'm a junkie on them. I love it. Like I even have my information from one of my solar shows. Oh yeah, I'm like I'm gonna tell them about it. It's 48 watts, 240 volts of power, 22 watts of solar panels or more, and it's called home grid. I was like, I
Okay.
wonder that. Yeah, you might want to research that. Something you want to do again because this guy ran his whole house off grid with his battery packs sitting on the side of a mountain.
Yeah, we did something similar. We built these homes in shipping containers. We dropped them up at my folks have some property, like 210 acres or something like that. And so we me and my wife, when COVID was going on and stuff, we just like jetted out of the city and just lived off grid for the summer. And we grew all our own food. So we grew like veggies and fruit, picked wild berries, wild mushrooms, and then we would go to the farmers markets every week, and we would sell anything that we grew. and we'd sell it to restaurants and grocery stores, and that's how we would make money. And
Wow.
we were completely off grid, so we had to pump water from a stream about the distance of a football field into like
Jeez.
a one of those big IBC totes, and then
Yeah.
from the IBC tote we would use a solar powered like pump to then pump the water to irrigate all the crops. And then we had
Wow.
no hot water. So we'd go in the greenhouse to we called it a hobo bath because we would basically just go in there with a bucket and of hot water, and then that's how we would take our baths, I guess. And so there was some downsides to it for sure, but we had
Well, kudos
power.
to
We
you.
had we had some.
Hey, I say kudos to you because you already know that because the world's just mental. You guys could do it again if you had to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was our thought process exactly. It's just like, man, you just kind of got a little taste of it in the cities with COVID and stuff and just how crazy people were getting. And we were just like, man, I'm not gonna sit through this shit. Let's go up to the property and let's just quit our jobs and
My
say
kind of gal.
say screw it. So, yeah, my wife, yeah, she grew up in the city. She's very much a city girl, but now we're like very much country people and not in the city anymore. And just, we love it, you know.
Yeah.
But it definitely is a hard life. So I give mad props to all the people that can do it. And eventually I think we'll get back there. But, for now, we're doing this and that's fine. This is my company. So
Oh,
yeah, so I've been in the solar industry for 18 years. So
oh,
this company purchased my company. Um and I ran a company in for 10 years, and then they purchased my company, and then I kind of came with the package. So every
nice.
every
With
once in a
all the
while,
knowledge, right?
yeah, every once in a while I'll run these calls, like when like where all my guys had calls this morning, so I said I'll take Jerry and I'll jump on the call with them. And so every once in a while you'll get me on a call like this, but for the most part I'm usually doing kind of the
In
stuff
the
behind the
background.
scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Background man, making it all happen.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good. So I'm
That's
glad
right.
we're getting to talk, and glad,
Yes.
always happy to talk to someone who's of the same mindset, you know.
Yeah, right? I mean, I think it's so cool. And I think it's cool that you did this. And then what's this cooler about this is offering people that can't do it to that extreme an alternative,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I guess my thing would be, I guess my question segueing to that is, so I lose the power because the storms go out. It's solar. How do I make sure that my house will still run? What happens in those scenarios? I'm confused in my head. I can't put it together. What that would look like.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So, batteries are kind of the solution there, right? So if the power goes out, batteries kick on, and then you would have power. Now,
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen because I want to walk you through why you don't need batteries. We can do
Okay.
them. We do batteries all the time, but I want to just kind of show you. I want to show you why you don't really need batteries for this to work for you. Um, so there's a program called the Clean Energy Program through Central Maine. It's
Hmm.
called net metering, and all it is anytime you're producing more power in your home than what you're using with the solar panels, then the energy goes back to the grid, right? So the sun, hits those panels, and then it produces energy. Well, if you guys aren't home and no one's using any of that energy, it goes back to Central Maine. And then what Central Maine does is they sell that power to your neighbors. But what they do is they give you a credit. They give you a 1-for-1 credit for all the excess power. So all that power goes back onto the grid. You get a 1-for-1 credit, and then you can use that credit within a year's time to offset other bills. So you don't necessarily need a battery to store the excess power. It gets stored in Central Maine's grid, and then they can use that. You can use that power whenever you want, right? They're giving you a 1-for-1 credit. So if they're billing you at 18 cents, they're giving you a 18 cents per kilowatt hour credit. So it's literally a 1-for-1 credit. And it's kind of like, do you remember like cell phone minutes, how they'd have these rollover minutes and stuff? Like if you didn't use all the minutes, they'd roll over to the next month and then roll over to the
Yeah.
next. Same deal with
Yeah.
this, that if you don't use them, then they just roll over to the next month and apply to the usage for that month, and then the next month and the next month. So the idea here is like during the day, you're probably going to overproduce a lot. And then at night, the solar panels aren't working, right? So you're selling all that power back to you're using the power you generated during the day to offset the nighttime usage and not have a bill at night as well. So
Yeah. Okay.
you
That makes sense to me.
you don't necessarily need batteries, right? Like
Nope.
the only way you would really need them is if like if your power, like, well, let me ask you this, like when your power goes out, like how long does it go out?
So the longest we've lost it so far here is 4 days. That was that really bad storm though, where the winds were crazy.
Okay.
So, other than that, it's been maybe half an hour, but I've only really had to pull out the generator. But that's my thing, is the whole generator thing. That's kind of where I am. I don't want to have to run generators, drag a generator out. And it doesn't sound like with this that I'll be able to, that's something I'd still have to do. If I lose the power, I'm still going to have to use my generator.
Well, we can put a battery in. It's just gonna cost you more money to do a battery, right? Like
Right. Right.
batteries aren't cheap. They're
Exactly.
they're expensive, but like I'm happy to install a battery. We know how to install them. I have access to a ton of different battery products, but at the end of the day, does it really make sense? In my eyes, it doesn't really make sense unless the utility company said, okay, so any power that you produce that goes back to the grid, instead of giving you 1-for-1, we're going to give you 1 for 0.25.
Yeah.
So if they change it and they're like, hey, we're not going to give you, for every dollar you send back to the grid, we're not going to give you $1. For every dollar you send back to the grid, we're going to give you 25 cents. So if they did that, then it'd be really easy. You would just say, okay, well, screw you. I'm going to put in a battery, right?
Exactly.
And,
Yep.
and now any of the excess power is going to go in this battery. And then from the battery, any excess beyond the battery will then go back onto the grid.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
they're doing this all across the United States right now because the utility companies are losing out on millions of dollars because people are switching over to solar.
Yep.
And so they're like, well, how can we combat this? Like, we don't want to lose customers. We want to make money just like, any other business, right? But the fact that CMP makes billions of dollars a year off of these customers, and they don't really have another choice because it's a monopoly. They've had it good for so long, and now they're seeing that they're kind of losing that grip, right? They can't control these people as much as they have previously. So what you're starting to see is stuff like this, where they're saying, okay, we're only giving you 25 cents. So now people are like, well, screw you. I'm just going to get a battery. And then all my excess power will get stored in the battery. And then I won't even give it to you. Like you won't even see that power. Right. So, something to think about, like the battery stuff is great. You don't need it right now, but we can always add it down the road. So if they do change this, then we'll be reaching out to you and we'll be saying, hey, have you heard they're making changes to the net metering program? It's probably smart for you to do a battery. I wouldn't sweat it though, because if you go solar today, you're locked into the net metering program today. So if they
Okay.
change the net metering program, you're grandfathered into this program,
Okay.
which means you'll never, you'll
Get an
always,
increase. Right.
yeah. So like that's the benefit of doing stuff like this early instead of waiting. Because
Right.
if you wait, then they change that program, then you're going to miss out, and you're going to have to add, a $15,000 battery to the numbers, and
Yeah.
that's going to increase the numbers drastically. So
Yeah. $15,000 is a lot of money.
yeah, but we can do them. Like I'm happy to do them. That's not a big deal. But does it make sense? I don't really think it does unless there's a situation like this where they change the net metering program, or you get these massive blackout, like you're essentially off grid, like you're running it. You rarely ever can receive power from CMP. You're always dealing with these blackouts, like. Okay, I can see if it makes sense then, but spending 15K for, a 4-day blackout once a year, I don't know if it's necessarily worth it in that
Right. No,
situation, right?
right.
So,
Okay. That totally all makes sense.
okay.
No, it makes sense. I like the way you're saying it. It all makes sense. So how do I go about if Jerry and I think we're going to do this? How do we go about getting this? What does it look like for cost to do it, to have that stuff installed? I was talking to this other company the other day. I didn't even like the way the guy managed me, because once he found out that I was unemployed, that was the end of the call. He didn't want to talk to me anymore. Didn't bother to inquire, did I have any other ways to make this happen financially? Just didn't want to bother talking to me. But he also wanted to cut the trees down
Yeah.
in front of my house, which I'm not opposed to. It's so, I gotta say, Ben, it's shocking when you can see what you guys can see. He was like, "Oh, you got some funk growing on those trees. They might need to go." And he was telling me how one tree was growing and the other tree was crowding it. And I was like, "Wow, there is no privacy left in this world at
Yeah.
all."
Oh, I know.
It's
I mean,
crazy. It's
it's like
crazy.
the Google Earth stuff, and like that's been around for a long time, but like the 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 abilities that it has now are not the same as I've been doing this 18 years. 18 years ago, we had access to Google Earth, but it's not the same as it is today. Like
Oh, it's crazy.
you can
I mean,
really, yeah.
he did. He pulled my trees up and showed me. I'm like, well, I'm looking right out the same window. Like, you have the same view I have. It's crazy
Yeah.
what you're showing me on a computer, on a phone, actually, call.
Yep.
It was nuts. So
Yep.
yeah, back to how does that all go? How do
Well,
we make
here,
this work?
let me explain it to you. So I'll explain how
Okay.
the program works. So like
All right.
right now, you're with CMP and you're renting your power, essentially,
Yep.
right? Like you don't own it, you rent it. Over here we got the solar because you would own your power, right? So on average, like what was a high bill for you with CMP?
360.
Well, let's look at the one you got in front of you. It was what, 222?
222. I just set that so I can give you the exact price. Oh, Michelle. Where's the pay? 222.80.
222. Okay, so let's call it 222. Okay, so that 222 a month, like that 222, like as far as like your payment, like your payment never goes away with CMP, right? As long as you're in that house and you're connected to CMP, you're always going to pay CMP. So like your
Yep.
term with them is forever, right? It never goes away,
Right. True
right?
story.
Right. So that 222, does that go up or does that go down every year?
I'd like it to go down, but this is the lowest it's been since we've been here.
Okay. Well, it goes up every year. So like the
Oh,
last
I'm sorry. You did say that. I'm sorry. You did say that early in the conversation. Every year they give an increase. I was listening.
No, I know you were. I just I know what that everybody hopes their bills will go down, but they never seem to to do that, right? So
Right.
they're always going up, right? So like
Yep.
the last 30 years, the rates have gone up 5%. In the last 20 years, the rates have gone up 6%. So what does that mean? It means like, okay, those are like, they're not crazy, like 5%, 6%. That's not crazy. But what they're doing now is they've rolled out this, it's called the Renewable Portfolio Energy Standard. They call it RPS, where they're now mandating each state to meet a carbon offset standard.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, instead of getting all our power from nuclear, natural gas, and coal, we now have to get our power from renewable energy. So this is a federal mandate, and they're mandating in Maine, they're saying by 2030, you have to be 50% carbon neutral. Okay. So because of these mandates that they've put in place, they're really making a push and pushing people towards renewables. And so what you're seeing is, instead of rates going up like 5-6%, they've increased rates 23% in 2023. Right? So you're starting to see stuff like this, where you're going to see rates going up at a higher rate than they ever have historically. And that's a big reason you probably notice your bills going up, is like these rate hikes, right? So the cool thing about all of this is, like, sure, these rates are going up and they go up every year. It just hasn't really hit Maine hard yet, because rates have always been pretty low, in Maine. Like, they haven't been crazy. And so when stuff like this happens, it really hurts. It really hurts people's pockets, because the amount of money people make in Maine is not the same as like the amount of money someone might make in New York, right?
Yep.
It's a big difference, right? So like, when your bill goes from like $200 a month to $300 a month, that's a big freaking jump, right?
Yeah, it is.
So it hurts, right? And so like out west, like, just to put things in perspective, like in Maine, you're paying about 18 cents a kilowatt hour. And in, out west, like out in California, what they pay is around 49 cents.
Ooh, jeez.
Yeah. And in Connecticut, they pay about 32 cents. So like,
Jeez, I guess.
it's cheap compared to like these other, areas that pay a lot more. So it's just hitting right now. And so the solution, and you're going to start to see this popping up everywhere, is CMP wants to keep you as a customer. So what they're doing are they're building these big solar farms. You're probably hearing in the news about these wind turbines that they're building out in the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, they're putting hydro dams in, they're building geothermal plants. Like, this is the next wave of energy, right? They're retiring these other power plants and bringing the new energy in. Well, what happens with that is, instead of you paying your power to CMP for like natural gas, now you're paying your power to CMP for renewable energy, right? But what doesn't go away is the transmission and distribution, because now the solar farm's still out in the country, and the power still has to get from the solar farm to your home,
Yep.
right? So you're still going to pay that transmission and distribution charge. Doesn't go away, right? And so the goal with CMP is they want to keep you as a renter, right? Where with our side, with the other side of the coin here, is it's very similar to, like, the comparison would be owning versus renting a home. Like, you obviously you own your home because you understand the benefits of owning instead of renting, right? Like, every single mortgage payment you make is going back in your pocket instead of your landlord's pocket, right? But owning your home, you got to pay property tax, you got to pay for insurance, you got to pay for any upkeep on the property, and then the mortgage, right? So it costs more to own something as opposed to renting it, right? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying like that's the situation here, but I'm just saying like usually you're gonna pay a little bit more to own your power instead of renting it, right? So in this situation, your payment might be like $230 a month, something like that, right? Which in
Which is
comparison to
close to what we're
it,
paying right now. It's just a little bit more, but to own something
you got it.
again, because outright there's an end to this, right? Eventually, you pay off your stuff too, right? Doing this, correct?
Correct.
Like you
Yeah.
would with your house. I mean, there's an end to the goal for me. That's another thing I have to think about. You guys, I don't want to say the word own, but I wouldn't have to stay tied into you once I met my final financial I mean, I would, but I always think outside the box. Financially, once I've met my debt with everything that you guys installed for me, how that goes.
Yeah.
So I go to my house. I could sell it with my house and get. However, if I'm saying, do you know what I'm trying to say with making sense, not sounding totally foolish and uneducated, and I know nothing?
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, and it's all making sense to me. With our program, how it works is, the term on this, the max term is 25 years. That's what most people do. And
Mm-hmm.
that the reason is because that's where your payment is going to be the lowest, right?
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
so 25 years, and then what happens is you have buyout options throughout the entire term. So if at any time you're like, hey, I just want to buy this thing out and be done with it, then you can buy it out, and that's cool. And some people do that, most people do not. And the reason they don't do that is because everything is fully transferable. So it transfers to the new person, just like the utility company, right? Like
Got you.
you
Yeah.
move into a house down the street, you're still with CMP, but you call CMP and you say, "Hey, I moved into this house. I need to start service." Same thing
Okay.
with this. Someone moves into your home, they call Everbright and say, "Hey, Everbright, I just moved into this home. I need to start service." And then everything just gets transferred to the next person. Um,
Okay.
when
Play
it
devil's advocate here. What about if
Yeah,
someone didn't want to use Everbright? What happens then to the person that sold the house?
yeah, no, I gotcha. So a couple options there. Like when it comes to selling your home, Zillow put an article out that said for every home with solar, it adds 4.1% to your home value.
Okay.
And appraisers now, when they go out and appraise these homes, most smart home buyers are going to ask for an appraisal to be done on the home. And when they do that appraisal, there is a checkbox for solar now, so it increases your home value just from the appraisal alone, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the way I look at it is like it's very comparable to like gasoline, right? Like if if there was four cars for sale and each car had everything identical, like the color was the same, the interior was the same, all the features, everything was identical, apples to apples, right? But one of those cars was selling with 99-cent gasoline, right? Like which one would go off the market, which one would sell quicker, the one with the 99-cent gasoline or all the other ones, right? Like the 99-cent gasoline. And that's what you're doing here with your home is you're locking in your electric prices. So when it comes time to sell the home, you're selling the home with this added value because 10 years from now, if rates continue to go up at the pace that they're going up, I mean, we're talking about your rates being double in 6 years.
Right? Ugh. That's so
So
gross just to think about.
yeah, so like I want to play devil advocate here with you too. Like so let's say they didn't want it, right? Like they didn't want the panels. Then what you would do is you would buy it out. So you do the buyout option and then you would add that to the asking cost of the home. And then you would recoup, you'd recoup that money.
Okay.
Because you're getting this added value anyways, the 4.1%. Usually when
Mhm.
you add another 4.1% to the home value, which they do anyways when you get the appraisal done. So that added value is now going to be added to the home value, and you'll have money to, buy this out if they don't want it. But most people see the value in this. They don't really look at it as like like there being a downside to it, because they're locking in their gasoline prices at 99 cents basically, right? So
Right. And then again, they probably wouldn't even look at the house if they weren't interested with something that already has solar attached to it. They probably would take it off their look list anyways, right?
you got it. It's like people that look for a pool, right? They're
Yeah.
looking for homes with pools because they want a pool, right? Like people are
Yeah.
looking for homes like this because they don't want to pay an electric bill.
Yep.
So
And they would get that locked in price too. So sell the house hypothetically, they not that I'm gonna sell my house because I don't think I could manage mentally ever doing that again. Buying, moving, doing all that stuff. But they would get the price of $230 a month for the duration of what they own the house on,
yeah,
or until whatever the payout was from whatever I hadn't paid to
correct,
you guys.
correct. They would just take over where you left off. Now,
Right.
how it works is with the program, uh, there is like a small increase on that 230. It's 2.9% per year, which is
Uh-huh.
minuscule compared to like what the utility companies do, right? So that 230 does go up, but it goes up at a protected rate. Like this 2.9% is protected, meaning it never goes up anywhere higher than that. Like that's your locked in rate, basically.
Okay.
So that's
But there will be an increase yearly, but not crazy like what's, not at 5 and 6%.
or 23
Or
or
23, like they just did. Yeah, exactly. I tried to block out the 23. Thank you for bringing me back.
yeah. So and in every other state right now, like on average, rates are going up anywhere from 8% to 14% per year. So just to put
Wow.
things in perspective, like in just out in like California, New York, like those are bigger states, right? Like those are bigger city states, but the rates there, like in California, rates have gone up 23% in the last 6 months, and then out in New York, rates have gone up about 26% on New Year's Day. So these rates, as they continue to go up, right, like your savings is just going to grow.
That makes sense. And yeah, because everything changes and grows and costs more. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But now the question,
Yeah.
hypothetically saying, able to pay off what we owed you guys, would that make, and I still stay with you guys because I don't want to do anything differently. Would it make my payment go down?
If
What would it cost me then to have the energy delivered to my house? Would it still be $230?
So you have a couple options, right? Like if you buy it out, obviously that 230 just goes away, right? Like you just don't pay the 230 anymore. But what's cool about the program is like it's a 25-year deal, but at the end of the 25 years, like you get some options. So what's included is a free removal. So you can actually remove the panels at no cost. At the end of 25 years, you get that free removal. You can still buy it out. You can renew it if you want to renew it.
Okay, so I guess you lost me. So I'm confused. I why would I want to have it taken away if I paid for it outright? Does something change? I mean, do I not need it anymore after you pay it off? How
No,
would
I
my
mean these
power
panels
still come to my house?
these
Yeah.
panels will last you 50 to 100 years. So I mean, like these panels will outlive both of us. But some people, they want the new tech, like the newest technology, right? So like that's why they give you those end of term options. Is at the end of the term you can remove it and upgrade and get the latest and greatest stuff, or you can just continue going with it, renew it, or you can, just pay it off at fair market value at the end of the term. They'll send an appraiser out, a third party appraiser, and they'll appraise the remaining value of the panels, which is typically like pennies on the dollar. And then you buy it out and you're done with it, sort of thing. But they give you options to buy it out throughout the entire term too.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
guess maybe I wasn't saying, or I don't know how to say it. I'm gonna say it a different way. So I buy a car and I pay my car off. I don't
Yeah.
have the car payment anymore, but I still have the upkeep for the car. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. Once you pay off the panels, if I was lucky enough to say I came across a huge amount of money, because I know this isn't what I haven't asked you the price yet, because I don't want to shock myself quite yet. What it would cost to do it if I was to say, hey, just put this in, I'm going to pay you cash right now for this. What? And I get that all paid off. I was thinking, do I get just like the delivery charge for the power? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. So, yeah, there's a couple options, right? Like if you wanted to buy the system, it's probably going to run you about like 40K, something like that, in that range. But then you would also be responsible for the system, right? So like a panel breaks, an inverter fails, anything like that is kind of falls on you. Where with this program, we do a 25-year warranty on everything. So panel
Okay.
breaks, inverter fails, something goes wrong with the system, like you're covered. Like we'll come out and fix it at no cost to you whatsoever. And what we also include is a production guarantee, where we guarantee the production of your panels over the 25-year lifespan. So if the production of the panels falls short of what we guarantee, then we cut you a check for the loss. If you just purchase a system, what we include is a 10-year install warranty. And so you're covered for like the first 10 years, but then anything beyond that would fall out of your pocket, to replace it and stuff. So if you buy out the system like a car, right? Like you buy
Yeah.
out the car, everything's on you at the end of, that when you own it, right? So same thing with us. If you decide you want to buy it out, then, all the maintenance and all that stuff would kind of fall on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there would be no $230
Correct.
a month charge. Okay, that's all. Either way, I mean, like what you said in the very beginning, I'm owning it and I have to pay for it, but I own it. And there's always these options to it versus renting it where you never get to have it and you're still putting your money into it. There is no option.
Yeah, I mean, you still own your power, right? Like
Right.
with this option, like you own your power. You just, you don't technically own the panels on the roof, but why would you want to if you're going to have to maintain them and deal with all that, throughout the lifespan, right? So like the benefit here is like, sure, you don't technically own the panels on the roof, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that too. And so we take that burden off your plate and we handle any of the maintenance and the repair or anything that's needed for the full 25 years. So
Okay. So do you guys, so I don't laugh at me. Do you guys come take the snow off the panels in the winter?
well, the panels are black. So
So they'll melt. Okay.
yeah, so everything automatically just slides off the roof.
But I have a metal roof now, so everything slides off now. It's a nightmare. My poor dog, I have to watch out for him all the time. Like, don't get out of the house, Dash.
What type of roof do you have? Is it like a corrugated metal or a standing seam or?
I think I think the guy asked me, it's a standing seam. So if I try to scrape it with my rake, I get caught on shit all the time.
Oh, okay. So it's probably a standing seam, and you probably got like
Yeah.
lag bolts in there or something like that. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ben. I could not. Again, I should know better, but I don't know everything yet.
Oh no,
In
it's all
Jericho City. But
it's all
I
good.
think we answered the question as a standing seam. I think you can
Okay.
see them. You can see the ridges. Like you could slide shit in it. It looks like it's perfect for putting solar up there. You could slide them right into it.
Okay, cool. Cool. Awesome. Well, great. Well, yeah, I mean, this in a nutshell is like what the program is and how it's ran now. Like if you didn't know this was CMP on the left here and then you didn't know that was solar and like I showed you this side by side, like which one makes the most sense for you, the one on the left or the one on the right?
To me, look at the screen, the one on the right.
Cool. And
Yeah.
so, like, what about instead of 230, what if your payment was like 330? Would it still make sense for you?
It would, because I've been as high as 360. So, and you're saying that it's gonna, in 6 years, would you say it was gonna double?
Yeah, it's going to go up every year.
Yeah. So I would want to pay that. Nobody wants to pay that kind of money, especially as you're getting older. But it's not like I'm gonna ever get away from those high costs. Well, that's high, but not crazy.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I think you understand kind of like the basis of the program. Now,
Yeah.
let's say like I just want to use like a worst case situation where it's like let's say like rates only go up 5% per year, right? So let's say you're paying 222, which is what that bill was. Now let's say you're paying 222 and let's say that your rates go up 5% per year. Okay. So you can see on the left here it says 5% per year. So in 5 years, if you're paying 222, your bill would be 269. In 10 years, it'll be 328. In 15 years, 439. In 25 years, 715. So with this program, what you're doing is it's in 10 years, you're putting 30K back in your pocket. 15 years, almost 60K. 25 years, 127K. So that's how this works. Now, let's say like we go through everything and you're like, I'm just gonna stick it out with CMP. Then this is what it's gonna cost you over 10 years. This is what it's gonna cost you over 15 years. And that's
I can't see it's too small. I can't see what you're pointing. Oh, you're pointing back to the 60. Okay, I see what you're saying.
You see that now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
It's totally nuts, right? So like you're putting all that money back in your pocket, right? And you're we were talking for a little bit about like some of the stuff with the house, and you plan on doing anything. Like imagine, if you had that money, you could definitely take that money and you could use it to better your home and do stuff to your home, or spend the money on going on a nice trip, or like go buy a place and live off grid. That's a down payment on another plot of land or something like that, right? Like a lot can be done with that money. So
yeah, your family selling any land? Just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry for the background noise, but my dog just walked in the room.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. So cool. Well, let me walk you through what I put together for you.
Okay.
And then we can kind of go from there. So here's your proposal. So I averaged your bill, like based on the usage that you gave us, I averaged it to 229. Does that seem about right?
Say that again. 200. I just went blank. $229 a month is what we pay.
Yeah, that's on average based on, the winter and the summer.
It was so crazy. It went from 360 and then we questioned CMP and it was just crazy high. And then it went down to 280 and then 222 was the lowest bill. So I can't really tell you. I think they were overcharging us the 360 actually in the beginning. I think they were making a mistake. So
Okay.
I'm thinking 280, 222, maybe what you said, 230 will probably be what it's going to average out to when they finally get it cleaned up. But I think there was a mistake.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, this is your design. So I have it designed where the panels would go on kind of if we're standing in front of your home, that left side, that left roof. Now that's where a majority of the panels are sitting. Now, if like what we do is we do a site audit, like the purpose of this meeting is just to kind of like give you the numbers and see if you qualify. And if you qualify, then I'll send my engineer out and he'll look at the roof and try to like figure out the best place for all the panels. Now
Okay.
you can see like where the guy was talking about with these trees. He's probably talking
Yep.
about these trees right here.
Yep.
And so he's probably trying to put the panels on this roof right there.
Well, he showed me the panels right there where you have them. Then he also had them on the barn. He had the panels everywhere. I was like, okay,
Oh.
we need that many panels?
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, he must have just designed you a lot bigger of a system than what you probably need. Because with our system, you need about 27 panels, and that would offset 100% of your usage.
And that's where I was thinking in my own head, right where you have them is where we would put them. Ronnie, Jerry's in there. We would put them right there.
Yeah, that's
I was thinking, why would we put it anywhere else? Because that gets the best and all sun all day.
Yeah, totally. That's southwest, so that's going to get you your best sun. But then, we'd have to confirm that because part of our process is we send an engineer out and he'll look at the placement of the panels and just make sure that is the best place for them. So,
Yep.
if we can fit them all there, that's going to be the goal. If not, we might have to move some on some different roofs. But at the end of the day, we're going to get you to that same production number. We're going to want to offset 100% of your usage. And so, however we have to do that, we'll get there with it. So, we've got, this is like your solar belt curve. So this is your usage that you gave me in the blue. And then what your solar panels do is this green line here that's turning red. And so during these months here, you're overproducing and you're getting credits. And then you can use the credits to offset like these bills, right? Your winter bills. So that's the idea on how it works. So you'll get credits during the summer, you sell them back during the winter, and then offset your winter bills.
Got that.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Making sense to me now. It's sticking in my head.
Cool. And then so this is what the everything comes out looking like. So no out-of-pocket costs whatsoever. Your payment would be right at $200 a month. We talked about that 2.9 rate protected rate. That's still on there, and then the 25 years. So this is what it would end up coming out looking like, is a payment of around $200.96. So it actually came out less than what I showed you earlier at that 230 or 233 or something like that. Came out at $200. So you'd actually be saving money, saving $29 from day one. And then as these rates go up, you'll be saving even more money.
Ben, this all sounds really good. Let me talk with Jerry and I can call you and see, I'm sure he's going to agree, but just let me talk with him. And then we can set up for your engineers to come over and look at it, but I don't want to prematurely say anything until I talk to him. I do have one more question. If you guys decided that you thought you needed to put it on the front of my house, those trees would be a problem. Do you guys have a pruning service? Like this other company said, well, we have a pruning service. We would take, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking the question that they would take the trees down.
Yeah, we have people we work with as well.
Okay, and that would that be of a cost to me to hire your people, or does that come with your service?
Well, it depends. If it's just like a minor trimming that's needed or something like that, that's no big deal. But if it's like tree removal and stuff like that, then that might change the story, and we might split the cost on that or something like that. But I'm fair in my dealings, so I'll let you guys know all of this stuff up front, like after the site audit. We'd be able to get someone out to see what the cost would look like on that, and then I'd have a better idea of like, hey, we'll take care of it, or hey, it's going to cost a little bit more than we thought, so let's work something out here that's fair for everybody.
So say you come in, so what does so the site audit isn't a commitment, right? Or is it a semi-commitment? What does that, when the engineer comes and everybody starts to come and look at stuff, if you tell me, shall we take down the trees, we can only pay half, and I say, well, I can't afford that right now, so I'm gonna have to put a halt on this for a second, what would that look like if I had to say something like that?
Yeah, that would be no big deal. We do everything virtually, like we're just talking through Google right now, so
okay,
it costs us money to send an engineer out there to do this site audit and stuff. So like in my mind, I want to make sure like there's no objections or any more thoughts or concerns that you guys have on the table, right? Because it's costing me money to send someone out there. So I want to make sure like, hey, like we're good to move forward with this, assuming like nothing changes. Like, the engineer comes out, he's like, yeah, everything's good. Then, I want to be at a point where we're like, okay, let's just keep moving through the process, right? So like, I'll just ask you, like, is there anything that I missed or any thoughts or concerns that you still have about this program or about anything or?
No, I like it. You've answered all my questions. I just want to talk it over with Jerry because he didn't get to be part of it, but I'm really interested, Ben, but I don't want to tell you to come do it. And maybe I just want to wait till we're solid. Jerry and I are a solid team on this. I don't want to say yes without talking to him. So let me do that. Let me call you back and tell you, because I don't want to waste your time either. I don't want you spending your people out here to say, you know what, Ben, sorry, on you. That's a waste of time for you too. So I think it's fair what you say. And just let me converse with my other half, and I'm going to get back to you.
Yeah, totally. We don't even really know if the site audit is even possible at this point, right? Because like we basically need to figure out, like with this program, they do like a soft credit check, kind of like what the utility company does when you move into a new home. They do that's why they ask for your social. With us, we don't even ask for your social. It's basically just like a pre-qualification based on your name, your birthday, and your I think it's just your name and your birthday and your phone number and your email, and that's it. And then that will at least give us an idea of like even if you qualify. So before you go to Jerry and like talk things over with him and stuff, let's just make sure like you guys even qualify for this. Because if you don't, then then it's wasting kind of everybody's time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I can do that real quick and just make sure you're good there. And then if you're good, then like go talk to Jerry totally. And I'm even happy to like jump on that call, another call with them, and we can hash stuff out, and I can re-explain stuff and do all that with Jerry as well. No big deal.
Okay. All right. What do you want? My full name?
Yeah. It's so when it's coming up here, it's coming up as Rochelle Rose. Is that correct? Like, look on the screen. Is that how you spell your name and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, blow it up so I can see it, please. Yep, that's me.
Okay, is Rochelle, is that your last name or your first name?
I'm sorry, Rochelle's my first name. Rose is my last name.
Okay, so we
It's
gotta
my middle name.
switch this.
I don't know why people always think that Rochelle's my last name. It's funny.
Well,
I would
it's
think-
how the title came back. That's why.
Oh, maybe my house title's wrong too. Then I'll have to check that.
It could be that could be why it's doing it. Let me see if I do. I have an email address for you guys.
You probably have Jerry's, but you're looking me up, so you want mine. It's it's my
Okay,
name. my
Hold on.
name.
Let me get there. Okay, what's your email?
It's my first name, Rochelle, with an R and is number 0 @gmail.com.
Rochelle R
0.
at Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the best phone number for you?
207
Mhm.
729
Mhm.
0670.
Okay, and then it asks for like your household income. Do you have any idea like what that would be for both of you guys combined?
So Jerry is sort of he's self-employed, so that changes yearly. And right now what was it, Jerry? Oh, he just woke up. What was it, Jerry? Your income for last, well, he got hurt twice last year, so he didn't work much. So he made about 20,000 and I made about 36,000, but I'm unemployed currently. I'm in between jobs right now. I'm collecting unemployment.
Okay. That's okay. What's your
Okay,
date of birth?
So 11/4/1965.
Okay.
Dash, come here. Oh, I thought I just heard Monique say, Dash, get down.
So you'll get an email from Everbright with a pre-qualification, like the results from that.
Okay,
Let me see if I got anything from them.
I'm gonna come to my email. Here's my other phone.
Okay, so you guys are approved.
Okay, perfect.
Do you-
Let me sit down. Let me talk to Jerry. Let me go over this with him, and I'm gonna call you back, Ben.
You want to just talk to, like, since I'm here, do you want me to just walk Jerry through everything real quick?
Do this again with Ben because he's here. No, he doesn't want to do it right now, Ben. He just woke up. Let
Okay.
me talk to him. I will call you back, Ben. I won't leave you hanging. I'm pretty sure we're gonna probably lean towards you guys, but just let me talk to Jerry.
Okay, it's all good. I'm just looking at my schedule for today. Do you want to set up like a follow-up meeting at like 4 today? Will you be around at 4? Gives you enough time to chat with them and then get back
Let's do
to me.
that.
Okay.
Yep, that's fine. That sounds good.
Okay, so I'll put you down for 4, and then I'll give you a call, and then we can hop in another meeting like this if you guys want to, and I can walk Jerry through everything we put together. And yeah, we'll get this going for you today if all looks good on your end.
Sounds good, Ben. It was really nice talking to you. Very
Yeah.
knowledgeable man. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I said, well, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I'll talk to you.
Okay, I'll see you at 4.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, bye.